What's good? My name is Xehther, and this is What If Deku Learned the Drunken Fist. Enjoy.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
Okay, so if you clicked on this video, you're probably like, ooh, Deku with the drunken fist? Hey, yo, that's kind of nice. And then the other half of you are probably like, hey, yo, Xehther changed his thumbnail style? Yeah, it's just something that I'm trying out. Let me know if you guys like the new thumbnail. If not, then I can definitely go back to the old ones. That being said, let's get into the actual story. Now, at this point, many of you guys might be like, how is this gonna work? Isn't Deku like 14 years old in the anime, or 15? Well, yes, and how is this gonna work? Honestly, you're just gonna have to work with me here, okay? Because there's no real way for me to make this work other than making Deku older or keeping him the same age and just having it be like, I guess you just have to accept it. So we're just gonna go with the former, all right? So with that being said, we begin our story off when Deku's born. Now, literally nothing about this changes. Deku's still going to be born to Inko and Hisashi Midoriya. He's still going to be having his usual blonde, no, not blonde hair, sorry, but green tinted hair. And yeah, Deku's obviously going to be growing up thinking he's quirkless. In this version of events, Deku is not actually going to be having that strange joint in his fingers. So the doctors would actually tell Izuku that, you know what, maybe there's a chance for him to develop a quirk later on, but as things are standing now, it honestly doesn't really look too likely. So Deku obviously would look at his mom and be like, Mom, do you think I could become a hero? She says, I'm sorry, Izuku. And from here, he would go home and start watching his All Might videos. Now, as the years would go by, Deku would proceed to get bullied at school, and Hisashi would literally leave Inko. Now, why is this all happening? You'll see. All right, so look, Deku is obviously going to be getting bullied by Bakugo at school, and every now and then Bakugo would take it a little too far and shoot an explosion at Midoriya, accidentally leaving some marks on him, bruising him, and at this point simultaneously, Inko was literally just left by Hisashi and now has to work 3 jobs just to stay afloat. So to put it lightly, she's not exactly in the happiest situation. So there are some days where she arrives home and pretty much proceeds to take her frustrations out on Izuku. So she would do this for a couple of months, and Deku would eventually just get used to getting, treated badly at school and getting treated badly at home. However, Deku would get slightly treated a little bit worse at home since, it is his mother. Like, imagine if one day, like, your mom just flipped the script and started, like, hitting you and, like, telling you that you were worthless, saying, like, why could you not have been born with a cool quirk? Like, could you imagine that your mom, like the person who, is there for you, just all of a sudden starting to be like a horrible person to you? That would honestly be worse than any beating like anybody could ever give me. Like that's just me personally. But rant aside, let's get back into the story. So yeah, like I was saying, she would pretty much be pretty mean to Deku. Obviously, she's not going to be like abusing him like crazy, but she does like definitely tend to like smack him around every now and then. Some days it does get a little crazy and she'll like hit him with the belt, but now he's older, so it doesn't really hurt that bad. But at this point, Deku would be like, let's say 12 years old, all right? Deku was literally 12 years old, and at this point, Deku would honestly just be getting to the point where he's just kind of thinking, I'm over it, like I'm done, like I want to numb everything. And at this point, Inko has become a full-fledged alcoholic. So Deku at this point has, some booze in his beer. So one day when Inko was out working a shift and Deku would come home and cook himself like an egg or two, he would proceed to open the fridge and he would see the beer there, seeing as there's no juice, no water. And Deku would honestly just be thinking, I'm not gonna lie, pause the recording for a second. Anyways, Deku would be like, I mean, what's the harm? What's the harm? Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? I'm gonna get drunk, I'll be fine. He would proceed to open it as, from here, Deku would chug it and be like, this is awful. But from here, Deku would proceed to down the whole bottle and say, tasted horrible. And so Deku would honestly just go lie down on the couch and put on some SpongeBob, you know what I'm saying? He starts chilling watching some SpongeBob on the TV, and from here, this is when out of nowhere, he starts feeling the effects. He starts feeling a little tipsy. Now, when Deku starts feeling tipsy, Deku would, he he starts feeling, you know, a little strange. So, you know, Deku's just on the couch, like, you know, like starts like hiccuping and stuff like that, like classic anime, like drunk type things, you know what I mean? It's honestly, I'm not sure if that's actually happens to people, but like, let's just say that it happens to Deku, okay? And, you know, Deku would be, you know, drunk. And so this is when Inko would finally arrive home. She would drop her keys on the couch, or no, on the counter, and she would walk over towards Deku as, you know, she goes to the fridge and goes to grab one of her beers, but she notices one of them is missing. One of them is missing. Now, when she sees that, she's like, okay, one of these is missing. I didn't drink it, so someone else did. And so she would look at Deku's direction, who at this point is just on the couch, and he's having himself a good time. So Inko would go over to Deku, and she would quite literally proceed to try to hit him. But Deku at this point would be like, you know, he's like laughing weirdly or whatever. Why did I just make that noise? I'm sorry, guys. He would like be laughing and stuff, and like he'll dodge the hit from Inko, and Inko would be like, what? Stop dodging, you know what I mean? Like she's angry. She's like, why would you drink my booze? This is not for you, you know what I mean? And so she tries to like smack him a bunch of times, but Deku just dodges everything. And then like, because, you know, he's a little drunk and angry at the fact that she's trying to hit him, he'd be like, don't touch me, you know what I mean? And he hits Inko back, to which Inko would be like, oh my God, like that hurt. And so from here, Deku would get into like this strange fighting stance as Inko sees this and says, whoa, whoa. She'd be like, you only see that in animes. Like, what? You know what I mean? At this point, they're like, yo, this is kind of crazy. So Inko like snaps out of her angry rage, and she just tells Izuku to go to his room, to which she's like, I'll go in my room. He goes in there, you know what I mean? And then Inko starts thinking about maybe he does have a quirk, and it's like a late bloomer. Maybe he learned how to dodge or something like that. And so from here, Deku would essentially be told, would be taken to the quirk doctor, where it would be found out that Deku's quirk is quite literally to get drunk. And when he gets drunk and he's in this drunken state, he has this fighting style known as the Drunken Fist, where his body literally acts on its own. It hits on its own, it dodges on its own. It's similar to Ultra Instinct, but it's like just drunk. And it makes him fight so good. Like this man does not miss a beat when he's fighting. His movements are so wacky that even if you were to like put your finger down on a couple movements, it would start changing patterns all over the place, to the point where you can't look at a certain weakness in his fighting style and be like, all right, I'm gonna hit him there because, you know, this and that. You can't really do that with Deku. It's sort of strange, but that's just how it works. I'm not gonna lie, I paused the recording again. I had to text my girl back, and I completely forgot where I was in the story. So I'm just gonna pick up as if nothing happened. All right, just pretend that there was not any pause. But actually, before I get back into the story, quick shameless plug. I'm currently doing a giveaway on the channel where I'm giving away this really awesome Bakugo statue, and if you guys want to win it, literally all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, leave a like on this video because why not, and comment hashtag giveaway. Do all those things. I promise you guys, I will just be picking the random guy. Honestly, your chances of winning are gonna go way up if you have like a really cool profile picture and name. So just saying. But yeah, just go ahead and comment hashtag giveaway, and you know, I'll see your comment, and then I'll, you know, just reply being like, you won. You have to answer, then tell me where your, you know, little address is. I'll send you the package, and bada bada beep, boom, you got yourself a Bakugo statue. That being said, yeah, let's officially get back into the video. So right after finding out that Deku has this like crazy quirk, they are like what do we do? Like this kid's pretty much gonna be quirkless, because if he doesn't drink booze, then he doesn't have these abilities. But if he does, it's illegal. So what ends up happening is Deku is quite literally given this card that allows Deku to drink at an early age. And so from here, Deku starts pretty much kind of, I guess you could say, given these like, given a canteen and like some booze in it. And what would happen is Deku would quite literally go to school the next day and tell everybody that, hey, yo, like, turns out I'm not quirkless. When Bakugo hears this, he's like, no, that's a lie, Deku. You gotta be quirkless. Like, you're just a useless Deku. There's no way somebody like you could become a hero. You know what I mean? But Deku's like, I'm serious, Bakugo. Like, I was told I have a quirk at the quirk doctors. And Bakugo would say, let's see this quirk in action then. Me, you, outside as soon as class is over. I want to see what all this hype is about. And so Deku at this point would be like, okay, sure. And actually, quick change to the story. I know I had said that he's like gonna be 12, but plot twist, let's change it and say that he is 14, okay? Let's say that this is about 1 week before the teacher starts throwing the papers out saying that, I know you all want to become heroes. Let's say it's like a week before then, okay? So Deku at this point, honestly, just kind of chilling. You know what I mean? So, you know, he would be like, you know what, Bakugo? Sure thing, I'll meet you there. And from here, Deku would hold his canteen and be like, I guess we'll see if I truly do have a quirk. So from here, he would meet Bakugo outside, and Deku would already be stumbling, just like, come on, Bakugo, let's get into it. You know what I mean? From here, Bakugo would be like, Midoriya, are you drunk? And from here, Deku would rush in at Bakugo's direction in a Rock Lee type fighting style as he would jump up into the air and throw a leaf hurricane. Not actually, not seriously throwing a leaf hurricane, but you know, he throws a kick that's like very similar, right? And so Bakugo dodges and he's like, hey, yo. So from here, Bakugo starts having to dodge all of Deku's attacks and he throws an explosion at Deku, to which Deku proceeds to like throw himself on the ground and act asleep. And Bakugo seeing this is like, how dare you take me as a joke? So he tries throwing an explosion at Deku, but Deku would dodge and punch Bakugo square in the jaw, sending him flying back. To which Bakugo would get up and get enraged, being like, how dare a quirkless kid like you hit me? And so, you know, he goes over to Deku, tries to fight over and over and over, but he's just getting outclassed. Deku is quite literally dodging like his body just has a mind of its own, throwing back the punches at every single second that Bakugo just wasn't expecting it. And at one point, Deku would kick Bakugo square in the family jewels, you know what I mean? And Bakugo would be like, oh, that's not funny. But Deku at this point would be like, oh, I told you I have a quirk, Bakugo. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, guys. I just enjoy doing that little voice. But yeah, after this, everybody who was watching this fight would be like, Midoriya just beat Bakugo. You know, they'd start losing their absolute minds at this. And from here, Deku would have a bunch of people go up to him and being like, dude, I can't believe you did that. Like 1 week ago, we all thought you were useless. Deku would be like, hey, yo, like you ain't even have to say all that, you know what I mean? And at this point, Deku's starting to slightly sober up. So Deku would be like, oh, thank you, you know what I mean? Like he's still a little tipsy. But from here, Bakugo would get up and like hold his face and say, this is not over, Deku. I promise you, that little new quirk of yours isn't gonna be the talk of the town for long. I'm gonna train my quirk, and I'm gonna leave an explosion in front of your face so giant you're gonna need to get surgery to fix it, and even then you'll still look like a deformed freak. And from here, Deku would just look at him and like be like, I would like to see you try, Bakugo. You know, from here, everybody would just start like laughing, and Bakugo would leave in a rage fit, you know what I mean? From here, Deku would end up going home, and for the following week, Deku's life would completely take like a 180, from being the kid who got bullied and stuff to now a bunch of people being like, yo, like, dude, like, you're awesome. Like, I can't believe you fought Bakugo and won. Dude, I've been wanting to hand it to that guy for years, but I know he has a strong quirk. But thanks to you now we have somebody cool. And Deku's life at home would even have started changing a little bit, with Inko thinking that now, since Deku is a quirk, maybe he can get them out of this situation by becoming a pro hero, and someday, in a couple of years, being able to pretty much get them out of the ghetto. So from here, Inko would be like a lot nicer to Deku and telling him that he has to become a hero, that with this new quirk, he can actually get them out of their living conditions. And Deku, regardless of having been treated a little bad by his mom, actually really bad by his mom for the last couple of years, would be like, you know what? I got you. And so from here, he would pretty much start training every single day. Now, obviously the day with the sludge villain incident would go down. However, I'm not going to cover it because Deku doesn't actually end up running into the sludge villain. Let's just say All Might captures it. But for the following 10 months, Deku would pretty much just spend all his time at the gym, like all his time at the gym. He would also spend a lot of time pretty much doing his meal prepping, and he would be on a bulk, trying to get some mass, trying to get some muscles on his body, you know what I mean? Make it so that his hits can actually hurt, you know? He would also start taking some UFC classes, some karate classes, and some kickboxing classes to pretty much start learning hand-to-hand combat as well as gym. And his mom Inko, she would be like, honestly, dude, like study, work on your quirk, and we will have no problems. Like, get us out of this situation and I will not question a single thing you do. So she would proceed to start buying Deku like more booze, and Deku would just start, you know, gulping them down, training every day, getting stronger, and eventually the day of the entrance exam would roll around. Now Deku at this point would end up pulling up with an Adidas tracksuit on, and he would just be stretching, thinking, so this is the beginning of my adventure, huh? I honestly never thought I'd make it this far. He would have a smile on his face and think, could. Deku from here would end up pretty much seeing as a girl with like brunette hair would end up walking in front of him. Now when Deku sees this girl, obviously it's Uraraka, he would think she's kind of cute before kind of like blushing really tightly and covering his mouth, because he's still that nerdy kid we all know and love. Deku's personality isn't really going to be changing from day to night just because now he learned how to fight and all this stuff. Deku doesn't have this insane overconfidence or anything like that. He just thinks that now he has a chance, and with his own power, he's gonna make it to UA. Now many of you guys might be like, so who ended up getting one for all? Mirio. It's honestly the quickest other character that I could have given it to, and it just makes sense. Like if I was to give it to Bakugo or Todoroki or something like that, it would just make the story completely unbalanced and Deku wouldn't be the main character. So I'm just saying, let's give it to Mirio and call it a day. All right. That being said, Deku would end up entering the UA exam area, to which he would go and take a seat right next to Bakugo, and from here, he would proceed to essentially listen as President Mike would explain everything. Ida still is really annoying and says like, hey, like if you forgot this part in the exam, then you should be really ashamed. But President Mike would say, oh, don't worry, I was just getting to that part. And Ida would then not even end up calling Deku out because Deku doesn't end up muttering like crazy like he did before. However, Deku does end up pretty much finishing the test and getting like a B on it. It's a pretty solid score. And from here, he would make his way outside to the robot portion, where Deku would simply be waiting nearby towards the front of the gate. And this is when suddenly, the girl that he noticed outside would be like pretty much right next to him. Deku would notice that she is like looking nervous. Now, obviously Deku's nervous himself, but nowhere near as much as Uraraka would be. Deku will just look at Uraraka would look at Deku, and they would both kind of like establish this like, yeah, we're both nervous. From here, Uraraka would say, hey, what's your name? As she's like, my name is Ochako Uraraka. Isn't it crazy? Like we're about to take this test that's gonna determine the rest of our lives. I hope I do good on it. Deku at this point would be like, and Uraraka would be like, what's your name? As Deku would be like, my name is Izuku Midoriya. From here, she would be like, oh, nice to meet you. I can't wait to see if maybe I see you in class someday. As from here, President Mike would be like, what are you guys waiting for? Go, go, go. This is like literally being a hero. There's no countdowns in a hero battle. As everybody would be like, oh, word? And they would start running inside, From here, everybody would start rushing at the robots, and Deku at this point would take his canteen and chug the whole thing before throwing it at the ground and saying, all right, let's get started. From here, he would rush in about as fast as possible, doing the Naruto run in, as he would jump up into the air and say, leave hurricane. Now, many of you guys might be like, yo, where did he learn that? Obviously, he doesn't actually know the real Leaf Hurricane, but Naruto does exist in this universe. Not like the powers or anything, but like the series of Naruto. It's a manga they can read, so Deku just kind of says that just as like a little, like funny joke, because, he has the Drunken Fist, and Lee had that battle against Kinemaro where he had the Drunken Fist. So Deku's kind of based his whole fighting style against Rock Lee, He's based his entire fighting style with Rock Lee's fighting style, is what I'm meaning to say. So, Deku's going in there, he's obliterating robots left and right, kicking them. He was like dodging them, grabbing the robots by the arms and like ripping the whole arms off, and then like punching holes straight through them. My man Deku was just going crazy. He's going sicko mode, you know what I'm saying? Oh, that was just cringe. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry you had to witness that. Comment F in chat if you just felt cringe. I deeply apologize. I sincerely apologize. I know you guys don't see this, but I'm like lowering my head down as I say this. So that's how you know I mean it. That being said, though, the robot portion isn't really that big of a threat to Deku. Deku ends up destroying about like 50 robots. He gets a pretty good score, and he's using his abilities to pretty much go through and get solidify his spot in UA. However, this is when the ground would start rumbling, and yeah, you guys guessed it, the 0-pointer would arrive. Now, when the 0-pointer arrives, Deku's first thought would be, yeah, gotta get away from that thing. But this is when Deku, out of the corner of his eye, would notice Uraraka and see everybody running from that direction. Deku, noticing that literally nobody was willing to go over there and help that girl, he would be like, I'm gonna go help her. Like, how are y'all like hero core students if you don't even Like, you're not even willing to go help somebody in need. Like, a hero core student would have immediately jumped into action. So Deku would rush on in there. His body would just tell him that, you know, he has to go. He throws the rubble off of Uraraka. She jumps on his back, and Deku would then proceed to take her to Recovery Girl. There's not going to be no crazy scene where Deku punches the robot in half, because that's honestly not going to happen. Deku is still a base human, you know what I mean? He's really strong for a human because he has the Drunken Fist, but he's still base human, you know, maybe superhuman level, but that's it. You know what I mean? That being said though, Deku at this point would end up pretty much telling Uraraka that she should be more careful next time, and Uraraka would be like, yeah, right. You know, from here, Deku would smile at her, and she would proceed to smile back, as Deku would say, well, I guess I'll see you around. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is where What If Deku Learned the Drunken Fist is going to be ending. Now, am I being honest? If I'm being honest with myself, this is most likely going to be a one-shot what if. It's just something that I wanted to do just because of solely the upbringing of Deku and just like a couple of funny interactions that I thought of in my head. For the past couple of days, I've been pondering about making this what if, and if it doesn't do too well, then honestly, I'm already prepared for that. But if you guys do genuinely want a part 2 for this video to come out, then you guys are actually going to be having to smash the like button and support this video a ton, because I'm not going to be dropping part 2 unless it gets a lot of support. If you guys hear my dog in the background, sorry. But with that all being said, I love each and every single one of you guys. It has been your boy Xehther, and I am out.